We are joined now by Latin American language and culture expert Mark Frobose, whose website is Frobose, Frobose.com. And I would encourage you to listen to Frobose on your Bose headphones, BOSC. And then you'd have some sort of Arthur C. Clarke synergy there. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Happy to be here, Dennis. How are you this morning?
All right. Now, I have an expert here, so let me pose a pretty pointed question that I feel only you could... Spain and Mexico, why are they so alike?
Spain and Mexico?
Were the people who discovered Mexico from Spain?
Actually, yes. But, you're talking about two entirely different cultures. I mean, the Spanish culture, the conquistadores that came over, and then the Indian cultures, particularly the largest, which are the Mayan and the Incan.
So there is a little difference.
Basically, the conquistadores didn't take women with them, so... they married the women that were there. Whereas in America, the pattern was basically to take, your wife with you, or to take, women as well, and kind of settle for different reasons, including religious reasons.
Now look at that, Frobose, with a brilliant answer right away, and tells me more.
I don't know about that. It's kind of early, Dennis, but I'll do the best I can.
No, I'm telling you, that tells me more about stuff than I knew up to this point. All right, tell me about Hugo Chavez. To me, he looks like a 5 and under player in The Sopranos. What's his deal?
Well, he's the kind of guy that walks up to you and says, how's the wife and kids, and shows you a .45 pistol in his coat, You know what I mean? I mean, he's just the kind of guy you can't warm up to. I mean, what can you say about a guy that has a state-run TV program every Sunday called Hello, President? And it lasts as long as he wants it to last. Usually it lasts about 5 hours. And he's got all these guys sitting around him, and he tells them what to do, and he tells them what to say. And if they say something wrong during the program, they're in trouble.
Unbelievable.
You know what I mean?
He's an actual caricature of a tin pot dictator, right?
Yeah, he really is. And then when you look at the stuff he reads, I mean, Open Veins of Latin America by Eduardo Galeano. Okay, now here's a perfect example of a leftist manual. I mean, the book has some good stuff in it. I'm not saying that it's worthless. It does have value. Some of the stuff is accurate, but as Benjamin Franklin said, often half a truth is a great lie. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what we have with Open Veins. I mean, it's basically everything's viewed from a victimologist point of view. The Europeans are all bad. No one's talking about the fact that when Columbus showed up, in America, the Caribbeans were boiling young recently born babies, which they considered to be a delicacy at the time. So, I mean, no one views all of the massive slaughter of, the Aztecs and the fact that they killed 70,000 fellow tribesmen in one ceremony alone. I mean, so atrocities clearly exist everywhere, and you have to have what we call historical perspective, and this book tends to lack that.
Yeah, it's I believe they're highlight frontons. They use the human heads and stuff like that. So it's it wasn't exactly the most evolved place when the West got there. What do you think Hugo Chavez, and I already get hints of this, will take away from his dealing with Barack Obama? Barack feels it'll open up some line of communication. I feel it almost categorizes Barack in a punk like Chavez's head in a certain way. What is that way in your eyes?
Well, I agree with you. Let's put it this way. My fear is that possibly Obama is being a bit naive in foreign policy. I think he's being a little bit too open, too apologetic. And with a guy like Chavez, this is kind of like red meat. I mean, the guy hates the United States with a passion. His idol is Fidel Castro, and this is a guy that took power in 1959, promised freedom to the Cuban people, stole their freedom. Cuba used to be a country that had a few rich people and a bunch of poor people during Batista. After Castro, had nothing but poor people. Mm-hmm. Internal passport systems, so you can't even travel from one city to the other in Cuba without a passport. Total lack of civil rights. And this is the guy he loves. So, my opinion is that he hopes probably to gain some inroads with Obama, since Obama is somewhat more liberal than previous American presidents, and definitely a lot more communicative and open.
We're talking to Mark Frobose, and you can tell he's very erudite on this subject. He is a Latin American expert, nationally published foreign language author, teacher, and speaker with over 60 foreign language titles in print. And Mark, is it possible that Barack Obama, Harvard-educated, is almost incapable of believing how stupid a guy like Chavez is? I mean, I sometimes think I don't think he gets what a mook this guy is.
I don't think so either. And then I think also the belief is, that the poor of Venezuela love Chavez, but not everybody is a quote unquote what they call a Chavista. In other words, a follower of Chavez. A lot of the even poorer people realize that Chavez is a power-hungry, money-grabbing maniac who wants to establish permanent power. He views himself as the George Washington of South America, and he views this book, Open Veins of Latin America, as the foundation of that.
Thomas Paine's Common Sense.
Pardon me?
I think he views it probably akin to Thomas Paine's Common Sense or something like that.
Yeah, he does. I mean, it's exactly right. That's a perfect analogy. That's exactly what it is. He views it as a despot would view a manual on how to suppress people. And see, this book gives him the justification to attack everyone but people that could be responsible for their own destiny.
Right.
And that's the problem. It's a book that's based on everyone else being the problem but him. And when I wrote Behind the Wheel of Spanish and I did the programs, for different languages, my idea was, hey, let's get Americans talking foreign languages and so they can actually understand this stuff when it's written and say in Spanish, or you hear Chavez say something dumb on TV, you can understand what he's saying in his own language. And it's a real experience, Dennis, to listen to him speak Spanish and understand what he's saying.
Behind the Wheel is in fact the overall umbrella name of the foreign language series with over 60 titles in print by our guest Mark Frobose. His website, frobose.com. And Frobose, I'd like to touch base with you. This seems like it's going to be in play heavily over the next year or so, and you seem I like talking to you. Let me ask you this: what drew you to Latin America? It seems like it would be my last stop on what interests me in the world. What drew you to it?
It's funny. I'm from a small town in the Midwest. My dad is a World War II veteran. He jumped in Normandy. And I come from a conservative working-class family. No one speaks a foreign language. I studied foreign languages in school, and I studied French and was supposed to be a foreign exchange student to France. At the last minute, they sent me to Quito, Ecuador. I'm not kidding. So instead of going to the Famille Dupont or whatever in Toulouse, France, I went to the Familia Julio Chavez in Quito, Ecuador, learned how to speak Spanish the old-fashioned way.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have no doubt if it had gone the other way, you would have been one of the preeminent chroniclers of the Franco or the French life. But
well, it might have been, and I speak a number of different languages, and I'll tell you the truth, what I'd love to do, and I think it'd be a lot of fun, would be to get on your show and talk with Tom Adams, who is the president and CEO of Rosetta Stone, and kind of talk about what the truly best way to learn a language is. That would be a lot of fun.
Well, as long as we don't turn it into a bilingual infomercial for a half hour. Do you guys, do you have a tag team act here that you do, or what do you do?
Well, to tell you the truth, the guy's from Sweden, and he's interesting. He's got a great, everywhere you go, you see the
Swedes?
Product.
Did you say Sweden?
Yeah.
The Swedes are evil.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
I
kid the Swedes. What
he's done with the company, my approach is more for, a fast and easy way to learn how to speak a language while you drive or wherever you are. It's kind of for everyone everywhere. And I guess if I can learn how to speak a foreign language, I can speak 5. And if I can do that, I think just about anybody can. So.
All right, real quickly in closing, which Latin American country has given you the most explosive diarrhea?
Okay, right now, I got to admit, Montezuma's revenge comes from Mexico. I mean, I got a case one time that lasted about 2 months. I lost about 40 pounds, and I couldn't get rid of it.
Now, that's what I want to talk about next time we meet.
Gordita down there. And to be honest, I got to be honest with you, Dennis, it was rough.
All right, we're on Feek Watch. We'll be right back. Thank you there, Mark Frobose, The Dennis Miller Show.